Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. And today I wanted to talk about something that's really close to my heart, and that's homeschooling a child who is both gifted and challenged. You might hear this called twice exceptional, or sometimes referred to as 2E. And I was going to read the definition. The definition is gifted individuals who also have a disability. Some key characteristics are that they demonstrate high intellectual abilities, creativity, and problem-solving skills, while also having a learning difference, such as dyslexia, ADHD, and autism, or other disabilities which can affect their learning and their academic performance. I share that to lead into how our homeschooling journey has just been such a blessing. And at one point in my life, I think I've done a video on this, that I would never homeschool. It's just not something that I honestly ever dreamed that I would do. I'm just really thankful that the Lord both softened my heart towards homeschooling and opened my eyes to a different way of learning for my boys. So I've shared in a previous video that our homeschooling journey started when one of my children was going to go to kindergarten, and I was so scared. He had some problems with chewing food, and so I just remember being so fearful that, he would choke on something or eat something that, he wasn't really capable of chewing. Um, and, at that time, I had so many people say, well, just, go up to the school during lunchtime. Or, if you just tell the teacher, and then maybe he could eat somewhere different, or just go, and sit with him during lunch. And that's all just, that would have been kind of hard. But I just had so much fear. Just the spirit of fear was so within me over him going to kindergarten. And I know that the spirit of fear is not from the Lord, and I am a Christian. I really believe with all my heart that He can and does use all sorts of different situations to lead us towards a certain path. So this is kind of where my just total thankfulness comes in, that I already felt so led and so called to homeschool my boys, even before we learned that traditional schooling might not be the best learning style for one of my children. I've been doing some research on twice exceptional children, and the fact that it's just so misunderstood, because a student might just seem too smart to even need help, but too behind to succeed. So oftentimes it just goes unnoticed. You don't really notice that they need the extra help. However, they're struggling. They just don't fit neatly into the two boxes of gifted or learning disabled. They kind of live in both. And oftentimes it's misunderstood because they may test average in school, not quite high enough to be labeled gifted, but not low enough to qualify for any kind of support. And sometimes they may appear lazy or defiant when in reality they're just burnt out, or they're anxious, or just overwhelmed by the demands, which just don't match how their brain works. So as I've been learning a little bit more about this, and by the way, I'm no expert at this, but I have been looking into it. I am an expert in knowing my children. And so this is kind of a tricky topic, because I'm not going to single anybody out or give specifics, but I feel like I am fully equipped to teach my children. And in doing so, I'm trying different methods and curriculums to best match their learning style and just help them to learn the best way that they can. I feel like through homeschool, we can meet their needs without sacrificing their strengths. And that's just the beauty of homeschool. We can adjust the plan to fit each child. So, outside of trying to choose particular curriculums to help with each child's learning style, I've also really learned not to make a huge reference to grade levels. I have mentioned grade levels on my video. I think it's just kind of the norm. At home, I try not to. And when you are out and about, one of the most common questions that I think kids get asked when someone is meeting them is, what grade are you in? And I get it. Like, I feel like that's just a really good conversation starter. And it's not bad, but it's hard. Uh, it's hard when your child is doing, high school math and um, upper elementary school spelling and writing, and yet neither of those grades are actually the grade that the child would be in, like in school. So that's kind of hard because, you don't want your children to feel dumb or, um, and you wouldn't even have to say anything about it. Like, they're smart. They can see that their language arts or, their spelling is a lower level than actually the grade that they would be assigned, I guess, or if they're in public school, the grade they would be in, or even homeschool, like their particular grade. Um, it's just really hard. I feel like oftentimes they already deal with maybe feeling dumb sometimes or feeling not adequate. Just kind of, it's just overall everything about it can be trying and hard. With homeschooling, I can personalize each individual subject to meet them where they are. So, like, really both my kids, but one in particular, I mean, we just speed through some subjects and they just seem to grasp everything. And then there's other subjects where the pace is more, slow and steady. That's one really nice thing about homeschooling is being able to just meet the child where they are. I love the flexibility of homeschooling. I love that I don't pressure my children with tests. We don't learn to a test. We learn until we grasp the subject or grasp what is supposed to be learned. We kind of do more of a mastery approach. You learn it until you know it, and then you move on. Another nice thing with homeschool for a twice exceptional child is that there's not a whole lot of comparison between your peers, although sometimes brothers can make it tricky. For the most part, I just feel like there's very little pressure to where, like, say, public school, I could see that there could be the potential to have a lot more pressures with your peers. You know, I want all my children to just have confidence. I think every parent wants that for their child, and know that they're fearfully and wonderfully made, and that God has a purpose and a plan over each one of them and each of us. And regardless of trials and learning, or I want my children to have confidence in themselves. And our children are going to grow into exactly who God created them to be. And I know that He has big plans for each of their lives. I feel like homeschool gives the opportunity to build emotional confidence. I find encouragement in just believing and trusting that the Lord will also bless our efforts as their parents and their teachers. And I think about just how much I love my children, and I want what's best for them, and I want them to be successful, and just all the things we want for our children. It's easy as a parent to we just want things easy for our kids. And so when the doubt or the worry, fears kind of come into play. Try to remember to pray over the situation at hand, and that I shouldn't be fretting and worried, that our children are His, and His ways are far better than our ways. So we just keep on teaching and keep on trying out new things when we hit a bump in the road and in learning styles or any of that. Just trusting the Lord that He will equip me to be the best teacher for my children. And another thing is, if learning is the goal here, we're definitely learning. So I'm just so proud. I'm just, sometimes you look at the things that we did at the beginning of the year versus now, and how far we've come in different things, and we're definitely going in the right direction, regardless of anything else. And I want the boys to be lifelong learners. We're not trying to learn to pass a test. So I have to, remind myself that too. So if you are raising and teaching a twice exceptional child, I hope that this video gives you encouragement. And I just wanted to share in the ways that I'm just so thankful for homeschooling, and I just love the freedom to raise and teach my children the way that I see fit. I hope that you all have a really good day, and I thank y'all for watching. If you would like and subscribe to my channel, I'd appreciate that. I'll see you soon. Bye.